Alright guys, we are back with more patch 7.3 content, and of course, as always, this video will have spoilers, so if you don't want to hear any of this Argus stuffy stuff, now is the time to hop off of this video. And also, this video is recorded on the 10th, so by the time this is published, there might be some more data mined information that I might have missed. So, seeing as to how leaked Legion info is pouring out like Niagara freaking Falls right now, keep in mind that I'm working on this video at the moment with what information I have available to me right now. So, in the last video where I mentioned the leaked information for quite possibly how Legion will end, literally 90% of the comments wasn't even about Legion's end itself, but was actually arguing about Varimathras and his quote and who it is directed to, Jaina or Sylvanas. Now in that video, I don't really give the quote any looking into because I personally want to publish the leaked information as soon as possible and as soon as I could. But now that I have the time to dissect the said information that I posted in the last video, it's time to put on our tinfoil hats, get shocked by lightning, and then look into this. So it is for that very reason that I wanted to make a whole separate video dedicated solely to the purpose of discussing this topic. On Argus, when we encounter Varimathras, he will say directly to the Alliance, "So your alliance still endures, longer than I expected. Though she has already planted the seeds of its downfall, she is patient, that one. When your thrones run red with betrayal and when your holy places burn and the shattered mask hangs above your hearth, only then will you know, and it will be too late." Now before we discuss this, Wowhead has since now updated, and there's also a secondary phrase that Varimathras says directed specifically to the Horde. "So she found me at last, sent her underlings to finish the job. Tell me, when she seized your throne of hides and bones, was your allegiance forced? No. I'd wager you surrendered it willingly, or were convinced you did. It matters not. You are blind to the darkness in your midst." So clearly the second quote is directed towards Sylvanas, and it will then lead you to assume that the first quote would be directed towards her as well. But there's a lot of people out there who can still go both ways on this, and before making this video, I was definitely open to the idea that it could be either or, since these phrases seem more directed towards Sylvanas. But recent events seem to also be painting Jaina in a sketchy light. So the things that I mentioned throughout the video, I will be attributing each subject brought up to both characters, so that they are both on equal grounds. But as we progress throughout the video, it's up to you to decide who it is that Varimathras is referring to. So Varimathras says, "She is patient, that one." Now who is Varimathras referring to in this statement? Well, he spent a lot of time with Sylvanas at her side until the events of Angrathar, so he might know her and possibly her schemes better than most. Jaina, on the other hand, he hasn't spent any time with her, so unless they had some dreadlord bumping on these action off screen, it isn't likely to be her. The shattered mask Varimathras also refers to gives heavy weight to Sylvanas also being the target of his statement, as the banner of the Forsaken is in fact a shattered mask, or it appears to be a shattered mask. However, shattered mask can also be interpreted as perhaps betrayal or false loyalty. For example, Jaina perhaps disappearing in Legion only to show up the expansion after and maybe reveal that she serves the Void for whatever reason. People may also attribute shattered mask to the fan theory of Jaina being a dreadlord. Now see, the problem with that is that Jaina hasn't done anything to warrant any legit information that she is a dreadlord, because all of her actions have been justified on the grounds of how a normal human being would react given the situation and circumstances that she has endured. Throughout her entire life, she has worked towards peace between both factions. But in the Cataclysm, during the Battle of Theramore, the Alliance were betrayed by a Blood Elf within the Kirin Tor who was supposed to remain neutral. Also, Garrosh nukes Theramore, and things start to take a turn for the worst. Jaina is so consumed by rage that she steals the focusing iris and was going to destroy Orgrimmar, drowning men, women, and children until she was talked out of it by Thrall and Calicos. After this, in Mists of Pandaria, she still works towards peace until the Sunreavers betray her from within and steal the Divine Bell from Darnassus. This pushes her to the edge and she begins purging Dalaran from the Sunreavers, but it's not like Arthas' purge on Stratholme. She killed those who fought against her and resisted, but also imprisoned those who surrendered. After this, on the Isle of Thunder, Lor'thramar and his troops confront her and they're ready to attack for everything that she has done to the Sunreavers in Dalaran. But it was justified on her part, seeing as to how the Sunreavers betrayed her. But at the last moment, Tyrant Zeus stepped in, tells them to break the cycle of violence, and they both do so. Surprisingly, Lor'thramar backs down, tells her that he shares his resentment in Garrosh with her, and the two of them back away. In the Siege of Orgrimmar, she has had enough bullshit, so she tells Varian to dismantle the Horde before more treachery can come from them. But Varian does not attack. on the Broken Shore, unbeknownst to the Alliance, was that Sylvanas retreated for an actual legit reason. The Horde's lines were crumbling, and to stay meant death. The Alliance, however, specifically Gen and definitely Jaina, saw it as an act of betrayal yet again, and Jaina goes so far as to even suggest they should wage a war on the Horde when the Alliance regrouped after the Broken Shore, even though a Legion invasion was just beginning. It's understandable for her to act as she does, and even with constantly being betrayed, she still works towards peace until finally she is tired of constantly being walked on by the Horde. The only act that she does that I can see giving rise to people believing in her being a Dreadlord is wanting to start a war with the Horde and Legion, and flat out vanishing in a time where we need her most. But aside from that, I think she is acting fairly. But anyways, going back to the Shattered Mask, the way Varimathras refers to it sounds like it is in fact a banner, since it hangs over a hearth, which fits very well with the banner of the Forsaken. Okay, so now it's time to start getting into some fun stuff. Ilgynoth. In the Emerald Nightmare, Ilgynoth says,
"Her heart is a crater, and we have filled it."
Now this can most likely be attributed to either Jaina or Sylvanas, so let's go ahead and apply it first to Jaina. Why would Jaina's heart be a crater? Okay, well, her father was killed by the Horde, her brother was killed by the Horde, Arthas betrayed her by his own actions and then killed by the Alliance and the Horde, Theramore was bombed by Garrosh, her beloved friend Pain and beloved apprentice Kindi killed by Garrosh, her trust once again shattered by some, not all of the Sun Reapers, and finally Sylvanas retreats from the Broken Shore, which according to Jaina was an act of betrayal. Khadgar wants to reinvite Horde mages into Dalaran and she believes that they will break her trust once again. Okay. So Jaina definitely has had a lot to be sad over. She has no one to talk to, no one to see eye to eye with her, so she vanishes to who knows where in a time where we need her most, and this is very sketchy, especially since Ilgynoth says, "We have filled it. Her heart is a crater, and we have filled it." Maybe where we failed to see eye to eye with her, the older ones did not. Now, how would this be applied to Sylvanas? Well, after the events of Warcraft 3, one thing fueled Sylvanas to live. Revenge. Revenge against the boy king butcherer who laid waste to her people. After he died, however, she had nothing. Her heart was a crater. So meaningless was her life to her that she jumped off of Icecrown Citadel and committed suicide, but was later revived by the Valkyr after seeing the horrors of Warcraft's version of hell and what awaited her in death. After this, her main reason for living became to stave off death for as long as possible and to protect and lead her people. However, this doesn't mean that she was not also doing sketchy things on the side. The Valkyr gave her the ability to resurrect the Fallen, just like the Lich King did, and that's what she did. She resurrected the Fallen. In the Siege of Orgrimmar, she even wanted to resurrect Lorthamar's fallen soldiers, but Lorthamar became furious at this.
I can raise your dead, Regent Lord. Your rangers can fight again.
Sylvanas, you will leave our corpses alone, or I will deal with you here and now.
Even at the end of the raid itself, Vol'jin becomes Warchief, and she also says something to warrant concern. Warchief Vol'jin. Does it sound absurd to you? I, for one, certainly won't be taking orders from a troll. Lorthamar also says something interesting. I find politics exhausting. I'm confident Vol'jin will take us where we need to go. Lorthamar glances over Sylvanas, assuming he can hold this horde together. Okay, so that part is kind of sketchy, but there's another person who feels Sylvanas is a threat. Varian says, we need to investigate cleansing the plague from Gulnea's land so they can rebuild. We must contain Sylvanas. From here on forward, the Alliance will be proactive. Never again can there be another the likes of Hellscream. It's quite clear at this point that Sylvanas is viewed as a threat. Even Garrosh asked her.
With the aid of the Valkyr, we are now able to take the corpses of the fallen and create new Forsaken. Agatha, show the Warchief.
What you have done here, Sylvanas, it goes against the laws of nature. Disgusting is the only word I have to describe it.
Warchief, without these new Forsaken, my people would die out. Our hold upon Gulneas and Northern Lordaeron would crumble.
Have you given any thought to what this means, Sylvanas? What difference is there between you and the Lich King now?
Isn't it obvious, Warchief? I serve the Horde.
So, See, that's the thing. What happens when she does not serve the Horde? What happens when she stops serving the Horde? And you might say, it's okay, man. She's a war chief now. She's taking care of the Horde. Don't worry about it. Is she? In War Crimes, she reunites with Varisa, and although the two sisters initially are thrilled to be reunited, and Sylvanas feels joy and love in her heart again, Varisa turns her back on Sylvanas and betrays her, causing Sylvanas to rampage through the nearby wilderness. She then reflects upon herself. She was no longer made for feelings such as hope or love or joy or trust. These things were for the living. These things were for the weak. Sylvanas Windrunner, the Banshee Queen of the Forsaken, would never make the mistake of believing that she could love ever again. Guys, this sounds like a threat. Someone who possesses the power to raise those into undeath like the Lich King, but refuses to ever love again, and whose primary mission is to pursue immortality? This seems like a little problem. A problem that could tie in with possibly the Void and what Varimathras is saying. Tell me, when she seized your throne of hides and bones, was your allegiance forced? No. I'd wager you surrendered it willingly, or were convinced you did. It matters not. You are blind to the darkness in your midst. This line right here really makes me believe that Vol'jin's vision of the Loa was not the Loa, but an old god manipulating Vol'jin into giving Sylvanas the mantle of Warchief.
I have never trusted you. Nor would I have ever imagined, in our darkest time, that you would be the one to save us. The spirits have granted me clarity, a vision. They whisper a name. Many will not understand. But you must step out of the shadows and lead. You must be Warchief.
We're convinced you did. Why else would Varimathras follow up a sentence of us willingly accepting Sylvanas as Warchief with the Void and darkness being in our midst? It's not looking too good for things revolving around Sylvanas. Ilgynoth also says one more line.
At the hour of her third death, she ushers in our coming.
Now this one is a bit more confusing. Sylvanas has already died a total of 3 times. Once with Arthas, another by suicide, and another by Godfrey shooting her. Which I always found funny. I mean, just the thought of a mage pulling out a Glock and doing a drive-by is kind of weird. But anyways, that is 3 deaths so far. But she hasn't ushered in the Void's coming yet. Could this refer to Sylvanas' 3rd death as an undead? The way Ilgynoth paints it, it sounds kind of immediate, such as when she dies the Void will arrive and we will be too late in killing her. But Varimathras also says that Sylvanas is patient and is sowing the seeds of our downfall, so maybe ever since her 3rd death, she has been planning on aligning with the Void. But the problem is that Varimathras wasn't there after her 3rd death to confirm this, so I'm not really sure about this point right here. Now, can this be applied to Jaina? Not literally, but possibly metaphorically, still unlikely though. Like, each time she has been betrayed, she works towards peace only to be betrayed again, one at Theramore, another with the Divine Bell and the Sun Reavers, and another at the Broken Shore. But then, wouldn't the Alliance and the Kirin Tor bringing in the Horde count as another betrayal / metaphorical death? Personally, I don't think that this quote can be applied to Jaina. But what about the Kultiras quest gear? This one gives heavy weight to something suspicious revolving around Jaina. Kultiras was the land ruled by Jaina's father, but we have never seen it in-game. In 7.3, however, for some reason, we received Kultiras quest gear with a map showing Kultiras, and also tentacles under Kultiras itself. In addition to this, Jaina vanished without a trace at the beginning of Legion, and is still MIA, even with us on Argus. What is going on? Perhaps she teleported there and is conspiring with the old gods, and maybe that's where the next expansion will be centered around? Or maybe she's working against them, devoting all of this time towards prolonging their arrival, and that's why she's been gone all this time. There's definitely some sketchy stuff revolving around these two incredible characters, and at the end of the day, it is possible that Varimathras is lying and is sowing seeds of distrust like a normal Dreadlord would, but you guys have to remember, Varimathras is saying this, but Blizzard is writing it. I don't think that they would include so many hints just to say, guys, come on, he's a Dreadlord, we were just joking, come on. It just seems to set up and play too well to the plot that might happen in the following expansion. Anyways, folks, that's pretty much it to this video. That's all I have to offer. Who do you guys think Varimathras is referring to? Or maybe you just think maybe he's doing what a Dreadlord does and maybe he's lying. Anyways, guys, post your comments down below. Leave a like if you guys really enjoyed the video, as it truly helps the channel. And as always, guys, I will see you next time.